We're happy and honored that you came as her representative. So, Mr. Beal, the A.D. King Foundation, please take us back to A.D. King, your grandfather, the brother of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He and your grandmother, Naomi, Ruth, Barber King, they experienced racial segregation firsthand. What lessons did they pass on to you?
Yes, thank you for having me first. My grandfather was intricately involved in the civil rights movement in the United States with my great uncle, Mark Luther King Jr. also. And the greatest purpose of my grandfather's legacy, his ministry, was dealing with young people in the civil rights movement. He was very instrumental in various parts of the United States and in working and organizing with young people. And the A.D. King Foundation has been formed to continue his legacy, to focus on youth empowerment. And one of the big parts of the A.D. King Foundation is the belief that my grandfather had that we all have dreams. Martin Luther King is most famous for his I Have a Dream speech that he gave in Washington, D.C. And that's something that we all share. We all should have dreams. So there are a few tenets that we stand on as a foundation. The first is going to be to believe in yourself. You have to know yourself, know your worth, and you have to dream. You have to form your own dreams. And finally, you need to dare to make that dream a reality. And that was that's what Martin Luther King's life was about. That's what my grandfather A.D.'s life was about. And that's what we feel that all humans have. You know, we have that capacity somewhere within us, and hopefully we can help someone else along the way.
Yes, and making dreams a reality, it sounds beautiful, but it's quite challenging, isn't it?
It is.
What is the biggest challenge that they face in trying to realize their dreams?
The biggest one is actually just getting started. You know, a lot of times, for whatever reason, whether it's fear that we have ourselves, whether it's oppression that we're facing from other ones, right? We don't take that first step. And there's just an amazing thing. Once we get started, you don't know where you're going to end up going. But it's important to get started. It's important to start working on it.
All right. Now, you heard Rabin Baldur sing talking about the challenges we face in the Netherlands with racial discrimination and exclusion. What tips, what pointers would you have for him?
What I would say first is to start working in the community. People have to realize that we are all in this together, you know, and there have been harms that have been caused along the way that I do think need to be redressed for sure. I think all countries around the world have their own struggles that are going to have to be overcome. But I think the biggest thing is to work with young people, you know, is what I would really focus on strongly. In the U.S., we still, even though we're now, gosh, maybe 60 years into our process, into our journey, and we still have a number of challenges that we have to overcome. But when you see the next generation that are now the leaders of it, and you know, with Black Lives Matter and certain movements like that, I think that's where a lot of the energy is going to come from.
Right. Now, Michaela Moa just mentioned that we also need to face our ugly past. Earlier this year in the Netherlands, the Prime Minister apologized on behalf of the government for the Dutch role in intercontinental slavery. The King also did that. How important are these apologies, in your view, in order for a society to move on?
Right. I think it's incredibly important. You know, until you admit that you have a problem, you're not going to get anywhere. So starting the conversation is going to be key. And I'm pleased to hear finally the Dutch government, as well as other governments around the world, are starting to admit that harms were caused in the past. Then we can hopefully look for policies that can kind of redress all that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Beal. Thank you. En dan hebben we nog een fantastische spreker voor u. We zijn heel erg blij dat ze erbij is. Ze is onderzoeker, ze is schrijver, spreker en journalist. Expert in diversiteitsgerelateerde thema's. Graag een heel groot applaus voor Sahar Noor.